Today's topic is mostly energy, as you saw in the flyer. We put one of Swami Kriyananda's affirmations, how to stay positive, energetic, and enthusiastic in life. And so just wanted to talk about these three areas, but mostly the focus we'll try to do is on energy. And so, when we talk about this, we all know, all of us who've done even till any point on this path, everyone here at least are Kriyavans, but to even the second stage, no, of Raja Yoga, the first thing Swami Kriyananda talks about is energy, and there's a whole topic of energy, a whole topic of magnetism. We learn the energization exercises, we go into that. And just the ability to have energy, it seems like one of the main things on the path, no? And without it, we know we can't even meditate. We can't even sit down. We can't even affirm, do the affirmation that Himmat just guided. We can't even do the whispers prayer. We need energy for everything, even to sit, to come to satsang, even to press the button if you're at home. It takes energy to do that. We may be just in the quilt on a cold day in Chandigarh. It's very cold. So the temptation could be it's Sunday morning. Then we just go back under the blanket and just relax here. And why not? Because it's Sunday morning. But those who say, no, I'm going to spend this time with Guru Bhais and Satsang and Sangha, you put out a certain energy, no? You take a step to do that. And when we do that, somehow, the interesting thing is we feel happier, no? We always leave from a satsang feeling happier. We never leave feeling, oh, I'm feeling even more tired now. I'm just going to go right back to bed. Often you leave from here, I know people start making plans with their friends. They go for lunch or let's do this together or something or the other happens because you put out a little bit of energy. So it's very interesting when even to receive the guru, I was thinking this week, there's this from Yogananda ji when he used to give his talks in America. Sometimes he used to run onto the stage, and he used to call out to the crowd and how feels everyone? And the response he would take from them is, I'm awake and ready. And so the crowd would shout back to him, I'm awake and ready. And he would make them say it a few times sometimes. And then he would start his talk. Very interesting to think, no? And if we think of the guru in that way in our lives, think of that if every morning he's asking us that. How are you this morning? And take your name. How are you this morning, Shweta, Ankit, Prefsa? How are you? How are you, Shamini? And do we respond, awake and ready, master? Or do we say, oh, just 5 more minutes, please? Or maybe tomorrow or whatever. And the moment we say awake and ready, it's almost like he says, that's great. Now I can help you. Now I can come in and I can give you the energy you need for the day, for whatever you need to go through even. The moment we say not right now, maybe after half an hour, he says, okay, then I'll wait. And you take that in every task of our lives. So there's this very lovely example, and I kind of had fun with it this week. I realized while preparing for this, of, again, in our Raja Yoga studies, the example of washing the dishes, which Swami Kriyananda gives. And you come back home, you've had a long day, and then you cook some food, let's say, and there's this pile of dishes waiting in the sink, and you just see that, you're exhausted, you look at that and you go, oh, and there's nothing in you, every part of you gets drained of your energy. And then all of a sudden, you feel like, there's nothing I can do, I'm going to leave this, I'll deal with this tomorrow, I'm going to bed. But all of a sudden, your phone rings and it's an old friend from a long time ago who happens to be in town visiting. And all of a sudden is saying, come, let's just go out, please, for dinner, or let's just meet up. And suddenly, what do you say? Usually the response is, absolutely, I can see you in 15 minutes. Let me just get ready, no? And so suddenly our energy changes. And so Swamiji gives us the question, where did that energy come from? Just a minute ago, you were so tired and wanting to go to bed. But suddenly you're so enthusiastic, you're so positive, no? Because you want to see your friend, you want to put the energy. And so that's a key he gives us in working with ourselves on the path. Every day, he says we get opportunities in life, all of us, to practice this, to change our energy flow. So pay attention in this week itself for yourselves, how it was, and so I'll give you a little example from mine. You fill in for your own self. They may have been different. But there's, I also paint. I was just talking with Ashu and with Prepsa before. We were talking about some kind of painting, and she was asking. So I do some art sometimes, and that helps me a lot. It's a great kind of part of my life. and then I have my responsibilities on the side. And part of the spiritual journey I'm realizing is learning to blend the two. It's not this is separate versus this and my meditation. It should be one big flow, and it can be much more inspiring way to live. So I keep now in the last weeks or so, I keep my art supplies out on the table just to encourage myself when I see it, to get inspired to sit down to paint, because I know it helps me to do that, no? And this week I had like a long to-do list was waiting. And I looked at my book with all the things that needed to be done. And it was one of these, foggy, cloudy days in Chandigarh. And I just went, oh, maybe I'm just going to stay in my pajamas. And, I don't think I can do this right now. So that was my thing to master. How are you, Shamini? I'm not yet awake and ready. So, okay, fine. So in that moment, I was like, well, let's do this at least. I can't deal with this right now, this to-do list. Then I saw my art supplies from the corner of my eye. So I said, I'm just going to sit. I just told myself, and this was sincere, I'll just sit for 10, 15 minutes. Let me just add a little bit of color to that painting. It looks like it's about to finish. So I just went and sat down there. And usually I plug in some inspiring music, something of Swamiji or any. I didn't even have energy to do that this time, honestly. I was just like, I'm just going to sit here and just be with my paints for just a little time. And it was so interesting. It ended up becoming 4 hours, firstly. What I started for 5 minutes. The moment I started putting energy there, the energy started flowing. I was feeling so positive. There was no tiredness. But then also, I was using that as a window to just observe, where are my thoughts? How am I feeling? What am I thinking? What's coming in my head when I sit in silence by myself? Am I able to have positive, uplifted thoughts? Do I think of the gurus? Do I think of God? Do I chant mentally? Or do other things start coming in? No? And of course, there's a mix for all of us, I think. But it's very good to spend that time, I realize, no? Sometimes where you just don't do anything, don't even plug in. Just give yourself a chance to introspect, and then you can start to work with yourself, no? And I was kind of excited because suddenly I was singing a chant, and you don't realize, no? And then half an hour later, you're like, oh, I've been singing this for half an hour. Or suddenly I was thinking about this one problem there of that friend who's dealing with something, and that became half an hour. And I was like, but wait, why am I thinking about that? Come back. And so Master says, don't just fill your mind with fillers all the time. And by fillers, he meant television and, those kind of noise, radio, because people just are all the time on, no? Spend time as well alone, where you can see, where am I really at? Where's my mind at? Because that's the battleground, no, that we're having. And so it was a very interesting just to kind of practice these in those 4 hours. And so after that, my energy was up because I wanted to do that. So I was putting energy, I was enjoying the process. By the time I was done with that, I said, okay, now let's get to the to-do list. And then the to-do list went tuck, 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 tuck. No, it went fast because my energy was already flowing. So that's one good this is just a specific example. You all will have different things. It could be, I'm just going to go and cook something. I'm just going to go and do something with the garden, or I'm just going to go out and meet a friend for coffee. Then I'll come back. My energy will be flowing. Or even better, I'm going to go meditate for some time. If we feel we have energy to do that, I'm going to go energize. So Swamiji tells us, when we are so low, do something to change the energy. I'm just going to go to the center, no? And I know sometimes people use that, devotees use that. If they're just feeling low, they just come and sit, no? And even this week, a friend was saying, she feels so low at home. She's realized she just gets up, she just goes to the Gurudwara and she just sits for 10 minutes. And then she feels much better there. Then she gets on with whatever, which is so lovely. No, it's like just whatever work that we can do, whatever way to change that flow of energy in ourselves. And all of a sudden, once the energy starts flowing, we can actually pick ourselves up again. And another very subtle, so I wanted to end with this and I'll invite Bharat, but this Swamiji talks about enthusiasm. So I want to just share a little bit about that. Like there's this, he says, don't be afraid to show people your excitement for things, for projects, for life. Some of us we can be like, yes, thank God, because sometimes we are too excited and people are like, calm down. But don't be afraid to show your enthusiasm for life, for projects, for things you want to do to others, because it puts energy, And he says the way to work with your enthusiasm, and he gives us three very nice practical tips. So he says, if you're lacking in enthusiasm, just first of all, change your posture. Just sit up straight or stand a little straighter. Breathe nicely, kind of just take deep breaths and just smile. Just check your basics, which we've talked about. So simple. He says, when you enter a room, subtly, it will start to change other people's energy as well, because your enthusiasm will be spreading in the room around you. So I really like that, just such a simple thing. Just bring that subtly into the room. And then he says also, you can affirm if you're not feeling very enthusiastic. What was the topic of our flyer? You can just say to yourself, I am positive, energetic, enthusiastic, and we can do those actions that he teaches us. And just that much will change the energy flow, will change the positivity, will change the enthusiasm in us. And he said also another last one, which is subtle, is if you're going into a situation which there's not enthusiasm, or you are not feeling, visualize yourself in going in there. Visualize the people feeling enthusiastic. Visualize yourself bringing joy and energy into that, and then go in. And subtly again, we may see a change that comes about in that. So these are just very practical, very easy things we can maybe play with this week, I thought, and have some fun experimenting. So I will now invite Bharat, and thank you all.
Thank you, Shamini.
Oh, you have to.
All right. So yes, picking up from where Shamini left, I was thinking a little bit about this subject, and I was just thinking how really energy, in a way, is the link between these three things. Of course, one of them being energy itself, but then also thinking about it, how actually positivity and enthusiasm can also give us energy, how the three of them are really interconnected. And it's very fascinating to contemplate. Now, when we talk, as Shamini was saying about Raja Yoga, and we talk about energy, and we say like one of the ways to have energy is to remove the things that drain your energy. Forget about bringing energy, at least don't let your energy go everywhere. And negativity is certainly one of those things, and worries and fears and all these things that drain us from energy. So obviously then positivity is one of those things that gives us energy, that helps us. I know that sometimes if I have something that I don't really like doing, I start saying the positive aspects of doing it, and by saying, oh, well, for example, oh, I don't really feel like, going to the store. Well, at least it will make me walk a little bit instead of being always in the car or sitting down. And at least I will be outside. It will be in the fresh air, especially now it's very fresh to go outside. And so on and so forth. And you say, yeah, suddenly you have more energy to actually do it, and also a little enthusiasm as well. Enthusiasm is the same thing. I think we all know enthusiasm is part of willingness. That really gives you a lot of energy when you're enthusiastic about something. I remember once back in the days, maybe 2010, 11, when we used to be in Pune, and we have that property outside of Pune, but sometimes we used to come to the city for work, and it's maybe an hour and a half driving. And I can't remember why, but some of the monks we were coming, at that time I used to be in the monastery, we were coming, and one of the monks was very tired. I don't remember why he was so tired. And when we got to our house in the city, or the house that some people were staying in the city, it was kind of a second house for us, the guy just lie down in the bed, like this. And then, I was not feeling so bad. So I went to the fridge and I was looking what is there. And then I came to the room and I told, there is chocolate pudding in the fridge. And the guy, chocolate pudding? And he just came up like instantly, and forgot all his tiredness. I think we can relate to some of these things perhaps ourselves, but you could say the enthusiasm of the chocolate pudding really overcame any fatigue that he was feeling at that time. So I was thinking, yes, although energy, is if we don't have energy, as Shamini said, we cannot be positive and we cannot be enthusiastic. They're really all three of them linked together very, very beautifully. Now, when we talk about energy, um, it's not just energy, and perhaps I may be thinking that some of these things, because yesterday we had a class about energy, so perhaps a couple of things I'm repeating from there. But when we talk about energy, it's not just enough to have energy. Having energy is the first step, but we have to learn to focus that energy, because you see that many people are very energetic, but they're very restless. They're always moving around, they're always fidgeting, doing things for the sake of doing things to burn some energy. Of course, children are one prime example of this, that when they have too much energy, they just start jumping for just like that, because they want to release their energy. So the ability to have focused energy. And in this subject of focusing energy, I was really thinking also, one time in giving class in Mumbai, when the first time I had to give a class about right attitude, whenever you give a class, obviously you study and you are freaking out a little bit because it's something you've never done before and all that. And as always, the Raja Yoga book has almost all the answers you are seeking, honestly. That book has everything. And it has a whole chapter, I think 2 chapters on right attitude. And I say, wonderful. I'm going to read this, and just whatever Swamiji say, I will expand on. And it's so interesting. But Swamiji, in that chapter of right attitude, if I remember correctly, he really starts and gives a lot of energy of how he starts talking a lot about awakening your inner powers. When you awaken your inner powers, because we all meditate, we all do energization, kriya, and all these things, we start awakening some powers. Now, what are these powers? Is it the siddhis that we talk about, being as tall as you want, as small as you want, as heavy as you want, as light as you want, the ability to fly? Those would be fun to have, but those are not the siddhis I am speaking about. I'm speaking the siddhis of tremendous energy, of magnetism, of being very magnetic, of being able to concentrate your powers, your energies, your whole being into something and manifesting that thing, of being able to speak to the divine and your prayers get answered. These are very real powers that we all develop over time, and these are very important powers that we have to develop. And he was talking about all of these things, about the powers on the spiritual path. And then he said, that's why right attitude is super important. Because if you start developing all these things through your energy, through your enthusiasm, through your positivity, and you're not able to direct them in the right direction, then they can take you down to a dark path sometimes. And you see that many a times when people leave the spiritual path, for example, they become very successful in life because they have learned the principles of focusing their energy, and they have just applied it in an outward way. But you can see also sometimes that people on the spiritual path who are very magnetic, who know how to use their energy, how to call on the divine, they also use it for self-gratification instead of for self-offering. So although we want to have energy, we need to have tremendous energy on the spiritual path. We need to learn how to focus it in the right direction. And it's nothing really to be afraid of, because as long as you're always giving everything to the guru, as long as you are keeping him, praying for him to help you, things should be, in the most part, fine. And we should never be afraid to try to develop our spiritual magnetism, because that's really what is going to attract the divine to us. And the wonderful thing is that whenever, through the teachings, through meditation, you feel, it is really amazing how meditation and the yoga techniques that we have are really the key. I think all of you have maybe felt that whenever you have a good meditation, nothing really bothers you. Isn't it so? Sometimes I remember from Pune, when we were in Pune, that we The center was right next to a very busy street. It is still now also, although it has changed location. But I remember very clearly if we will go to morning meditation and then you had to come out and then you go to your house, which was a little walk away. But sometimes that street was very noisy. And when you when you just meditated and you're feeling quiet, you know, oh, what is that noise? You know, this noise right here, just stop, and it feels so good, isn't it so? But I remember if I had a particularly good meditation that I was feeling joyful, even the noise didn't bother me at all. You know, really nothing bothered me for that amount of time. You know, for whatever little big amount of time, I don't know. But really, that is the key to help us to focus our energy or enthusiasm or positivity to not only have high energy, but bring it up. When you are able to bring the energy up, when you live in high up and upward moving energy, positivity will come to you. Enthusiasm will most likely come to you as well. Because it's very interesting to contemplate, but someone like a Swami Kriyananda, he will say like, my mind just doesn't go to those things anymore. Because as Yogananda taught us, we don't create thoughts, we attract thoughts. And if our energy is high and is uplifted, we will attract always the right kind of thoughts. The lower thoughts will not just even come to us. They will not be able to penetrate us anymore. So that is the key really for this whole subject of energy, to find a way to bring our energy, like Shamini was saying, you know, change the environment, sometimes do something to get your energy going and uplift that energy. And in that uplifted state of energy, then nothing really can touch you of the negative things. You know, Shamini and I, but mostly I, have been going to the gym these days. You know, just not because we want to be strong and all that. We have energization exercise, but just to move the body a little more and, you know, in some way to develop a little more willpower as well. And if you ever been to a gym, they are like the most rajasic places in the world. Like they always like to put the music so loud and everything so loud. Please come. Everything is so loud. And it's like, the first thing that Shamini and I do when we go there is tell to the guys, can you please lower the volume? Can you please lower the volume? And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I have also noticed, like, we on the spiritual path tend to be more sensitive to these things. Whenever we go to a restaurant and the music is very loud, you know, you feel it in some ways. They're not really good things. They are very restless. But I see that it is also become very easy to kind of create a field of energy, even subconsciously, that where the music doesn't bother you anymore, or where these outer distractions really don't bother you anymore, that you learn how to protect yourself from these things. Not that you go and seek them in order to, you know, try to protect yourself and become strong, but you are able to do it nevertheless. So the key is to be positive, energetic, enthusiastic, and to always have that kind of energy that is high and uplifted, that is focused more in the upper chakras, in the upper centers, so that then nothing in this world can really touch us. And you will see that if you are able to do that, to stay energized through all these things that Shamini spoke and that I just mentioned, especially through our attunement to our guru, especially through our attunement to the teachings, you will be able to fly through life like nothing really. And you will see that your life itself will become much more fulfilling, because in this state of heightened energy, really you discover that joy really is within, and that nothing outside of yourself can really matter. All right? Om Guru.
Life is beautiful, life is gay, when I give myself away, when I live to please the Lord, dancing in thy ray. Let me see thee everywhere, hear thy melodies in the air. Let me feel thy strength in me, give me joy to share. Life is beautiful, life is gay, when I give myself away. When I give to please the Lord, dancing in thy ray. Let me see thee everywhere, hear thy melodies in the air. Let me feel thy strength in me, give me joy to share. Let me feel thy strength in me, give me joy to share.